The rest of the Four Seasons team. I'm Erin Potter, Faile, and I'm responding to the patient scenario that I was given. Um, the scenario that I was given is about a 68-year-old man who's living in a facility with lung cancer. He deals with pain management and anxiety, and deals with this mostly through medications. So I was asked to give, I believe, 6 ways that I would assess him. I think musical and non-musical, but at least 3 of them being ways that I would use music to assess him. So I think I'll go through that part first and then do the song in the end. So one of the ways that I would begin an assessment would be musically. I would just have him do sort of a feelings check-in, or I would present him with a few different instruments, kind of introduce them, give different ways that he can play them, and then I would allow him to experiment with the instruments to feel comfortable, and then I would ask him just to do a very short improvisation about how he's feeling that day. I think the instruments I would use would just be 4 or 5 instruments to keep it sort of structured and so the choice is not overwhelming. I would use a djembe, a tambourine, a rain stick, a xylophone, and a triangle to give him both metallic timbre, to give him opportunities to use melody, varying rhythmic sounds. And so I would ask him he could choose 1 or 2 or as many as he wanted, but this would give me an opportunity to observe his comfort levels with the instruments, to observe his comfort level maybe with trying something new, to observe any feelings, both the feelings that he's having that day and also any feelings that might come up from a new experience or trying something that some people find a little bit intimidating and others just have fun with it. So to see sort of those reactions. It would also allow me to observe any associations that he has to particular instruments or any thoughts or feelings or images that he might attach to the sounds that the instruments make. And then it would also allow me to observe his expressive abilities, his playing style, whether he's drawn to more rhythmic elements or melodic elements or what sorts of sounds. Then I think I would move into just asking him to do a very short improvisation with me, using the instruments that were provided, and then I would also use guitar myself, I believe, or if there was a keyboard available, to improvise, and then I may also use some of the instruments that he is not using at the time. But this would be maybe a 45-second to 1-minute improvisation, just to give me a chance to observe his musical interactions with me, to give us an opportunity maybe to develop our music together just a little bit, to kind of test that out, and just begin the formation of a musical relationship as well as a therapeutic relationship. It would also give me a chance to observe his needs musically. You know, does he need a great deal of support? Is there space for me to be in the music with him? To observe some of those needs and behaviors in the music, and some that may also be present in the therapeutic relationship. And then my focus in this interaction would be just to offer empathy through the music, to sort of match and support his music. It would not be a position that is challenging his sound, but just one that is supporting and matching his sound as just a joint effort. So those are two ways that I would do a short musical assessment that may give me information about the therapeutic relationship and also his relationship with music and instruments and trying something new. I think at that point I would begin to do some verbal assessment. I would want to know a few things about him. I would ask of him. One of those things would be that I would want to gather information about his musical past or his musical life. So I would want to ask him questions about his music background, any music experience that he has, whether it's singing in a choir, playing instruments, even as a child, or and then also his musical preferences, just to know some of the types of music and songs and artists that he enjoys. I think at this point I would also ask him to complete what's called a projective song questionnaire. And this is just a short list of questions about songs that are important to him that would give me information for ways to use songs for him in the future, and songs that he finds meaningful. So to give you an example of some questions that might be on a projective song questionnaire, maybe you would have questions that say, when I'm feeling sad, I like to listen to this song. Or this is a song that has given me hope in a time of distress. Or this is a song that I find support in. This is a song that reminds me of an important person in my life. Or this is a song that reminds me of an important event in my life. So it would just be a list of about 10 questions like that, and he would just write or tell me, and I could write the names of those songs that come to mind to get an idea of songs that have meaning in his life. So that would be one area of assessment, verbal assessment, to gather information about his musical life and history and preferences. The next area of assessment that I would do verbally is I would want to just gather information about his spirituality, whether or not I would just ask a few questions to understand about maybe his religion or spirituality in his life, if that plays a role in his life, and if so, then in what ways. Maybe if he has particular beliefs or ascribes to a certain religion, or if he attends any sort of body of worship or religious service. And then I would just want to know if he wants his spirituality to be incorporated into our work together. So that would be another area that I would assess verbally. And then the third area that I would assess verbally, I think, would be just about his support system. I would want to ask him, in what ways does he find support? Does he have family, friends, a spouse, children? Does he work, attend a church or a body of worship? Does he have any sort of spirituality or hobbies? Is he part of social groups in his community? Just to find out what support systems are there. So those would be three areas that I would assess, and then I would also use the written assessment of the projective song questionnaire, which would help me in our future work together. Another way, I guess the third musical way that I would assess him, because he has pain management and anxiety on a regular basis, I think I would close the session by doing a relaxation that focuses him on the breath, but also focuses him on finding internal resources and support within himself. the way this would look is that I would be using, initially I would use only a djembe and a rain stick. The djembe would be used just as a grounding tool that would be played at just spaced intervals, one beat at a time, similar to just a slow heartbeat, to offer a sense of calm, a sense of consistency and grounding. The rain stick would be used to signify the breaths that he would take in and out. So he would breathe in as the grains are falling, breathe out as the grains are falling when it turns over. So like I said, this would focus him both on his body and on his breath. Initially, I would begin by having him just focus on the breath, on breathing, slow, full breaths as much as he can. And then gradually I would begin with the feet and move up through the body, having him focus on the different body parts, noticing how they're feeling, noticing the things that his different body parts do that already offer him support. And then I would, as we progress through that, as we move through each body part, I would ask him to breathe in maybe a feeling of being supported, or breathe in a feeling of love or compassion for himself, or breathe in a feeling of peace or hope, so that he's really visualizing these things coming into different parts of his body, that he's internalizing these resources. But then as he's breathing out, I would not be directive in that part. I would only ask him that as he's breathing out, that he would focus on any negative or difficult feelings that he's having, whether that be pain or worry, anxiety, stress, sadness. I would just ask him that the image would be that he's breathing these feelings out of his body, that he's releasing them out into the world rather than holding them in his body. So that would be our relaxation experience, and then I would close the experience by simply focusing on the breath, and again going through all the feelings and resources that he breathed in, and just naming those and allowing him to breathe freely. And at that time I would switch and just play the guitar, just a very simple picking, very simple, just leading him through and talking him through these different feelings. And so that would close our relaxation time together. This sort of assessment would allow me to talk with him about any feelings that he had in his body during the experience. It would allow me to get an understanding of maybe where he felt he focused more attention, where in his body did he focus more attention. And then it would allow me to talk with him about what sorts of feelings was he breathing out, what sorts of feelings and thoughts was he releasing during the experience. And this would give me an idea of some of the feelings that we may be working on and discussing in our therapy work together. It would also allow me to talk with him about any feelings that came up for him during the experience. Some patients have a lot of difficulty with relaxation experiences, and so this would be a time to really process any feelings that came up as well, and for me to be aware of those. And then finally, would give us an opportunity to maybe discuss any images that came up for him, whether or not he had any images about the experience, about his body, throughout the experience, and all of these things would be helpful for me in our future work. So I think those are the ways that I would kind of do the different forms of assessment, the musical assessment, through the relaxation experience, through the dual improvisation where he and I would play together, and also the solo improvisation in the beginning. And then the verbal assessments, assessing his musical life, his spirituality, and any support systems that are important in his life, and then also the projective song questionnaire. Finally, and I believe that's how I would structure this session also, beginning with music, the 2 improvisations, then moving into just discussion, doing the projective song questionnaire, and closing with the relaxation experience. And then the song that I chose for this man, I chose the song Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan. And the reason I chose this song, in the scenario that's given, I don't necessarily know a lot about him. I don't know how he's processing having this illness. So I guess I don't know that this is a song that I would use for assessment or in a first session even. But I think it's a song that could have potential for assessment purposes, although I don't know personally that if I would do that in the first session. But I chose this song because it's a song that sort of raises a lot of questions that people have throughout life. It raises questions about the world, about life, about it sort of has a bit of an existential side, these questions that we face that don't have answers. And so I think if the song were to be used, whether just in therapy or as a form of assessment, or it could really open up a lot of questions to discuss with the patient. It could open up a lot of maybe the questions that they're facing about their own life, or maybe the questions that they have going around that don't necessarily have answers. It brings about a bit of a sense of uncertainty, and at the same time acknowledging that sometimes life is uncertain. So that's the song that I chose, and I also chose it because this man, if he's 68, he would have been born 1946. He would be in his early 20s, 2021, when this song came out, 1967. So, you know, I think it's a song from that kind of adolescent time that a lot of people really develop strong attachments to music during that time in their life. So, you know, and at this point from the scenario, I don't know his musical preferences, but I would imagine it's a song that he would know and he would be familiar with. And so that's why I chose the song. So I will go ahead and play. When I talked with Mark, he said I didn't need to do all the verses of the song, so I think I'll just do the first 2 verses and choruses, and then maybe just pass on the last verse. So. and how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? And how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head, pretending he just doesn't see? Oh, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Oh, the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing